Today we're joined by Ted, the historian of Randolph County Asylum. Once a skeptic, Ted now shares both the asylum's history and the experience that convinced him that it's truly haunted.
So can you tell me some fun facts about this place? Anything that you can think of?
Whatever you say, anything?
Yeah, tell me your scariest moment here.
Okay, one thing that I learned about this place is, number one, that it really is haunted. Okay. I was 11 years in the Army, infantry, and 20 years a firefighter. To be honest with you, I wasn't afraid of nothing. You either shoot it or put it out. That's the truth. That's bottom line.
Yeah.
And after I retired from my regular job in 2010, in 2015, these guys that bought this building called me and asked me if I wanted to work for them. I said, what do you want me to do? They said, I want you to meet people that come to the building, tell them the history of the place, and show them around. I said, I'll do that, I'll be happy to do that, but I'm not going to promote your ghost.
So you were more so like a historian.
Well,
in that way.
yeah. And I told them I wasn't going to promote the ghost. And they said, well, go ahead and work for us for about a year and let's see if you still don't promote our ghost. Well, I worked for them for about a year and I didn't believe in ghosts. I did not. And then I've had two different instances happen that had to be paranormal. There's no other excuse for it. And so, needless to say, it didn't take a year, and I do believe in ghosts now.
Wow, okay. Really?
I do definitely believe in ghosts.
Okay, and what all happened?
Well, I got to meet the judge that used to do mock trials here up in the attic. The Booth brothers, Philip and Christopher Booth, were here, and they both had SLS cameras. And they were sitting up there in the attic. They said, Ted, they said, where did the judge hold these mock trials? And I said, right in front of you, right there in front of your face. Philip said, look at my screen on a computer. I looked at the screen on a computer, and there behind an upright up there in the attic, there's a stick figure head looking around that post.
Really?
He said, is this the judge? And I said, yeah, it probably is. Wow. Well, they said, do you know him? And I said, yeah, I know him pretty good. They said, well, see if you can get him to come out. Well, needless to say, without an SLS camera, I couldn't see him. Or I probably wouldn't have done it to begin with. And so I walk over there, and I said, Judge, I said, if this is you, I said, the cameras them guys got cannot hurt you. They make you look like a stick figure, and I promise you they won't hurt you. They would like for you to come out from behind the upright here so they can see you better. And so I turned around and walked away from the upright, turned my back on the judge, and walked across the opening up there in one of them big chimneys that's up there in the attic. I went over there and leaned against the chimney with my foot cocked up against it. And I no sooner got there, but Christopher said, Judge, he said, Ted, the judge is following you. Philip said, matter of fact, he's leaning against the chimney right beside you, right to your right. Wow. All right, well, I couldn't see it. And I wasn't seeing it, because I still didn't believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
I still did not. All right, I was wanting to see it. So I'm looking and looking and looking and feeling, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And the next thing I know, I get the cold sweats. And I'm dizzy. I'm sick. Really? I feel like I'm going to pass out or throw up or all the above, And so mainly because of my age, I didn't want to fall over on my face standing up. So I scooted down to the floor and kind of hunched up against that chimney, leaning back like that. And about that time, Christopher said, Ted, I think the judge likes you. I said, why? Well, he put his hand on your shoulder like your old buddies. Okay, that made sense. I know what he's doing. He's using my energy to try to materialize.
Wow.
Okay, I know enough about them to know what's going on, you know. And I said, well, Judge, I like you too, but you're going to have to get your hands off of me because I'm not dead and you're making me sick. All right? Yeah. Within 10 seconds, I felt perfectly fine.
Wow.
I said, what'd he do? Because I knew they had it, or they could see it there on their cameras. I said, what did he do? He said, he done exactly like you asked him to do. He dropped his hand off of your shoulders. He turned around and walked back across the opening there and went back behind that upright, and we can't see him anymore. And so any skepticism I had went right out the window that night. No, I didn't see him. I didn't feel him. I didn't see or feel nothing. I really didn't, except I was sick, and something was making me sick, and it was going to get me. I was going to go down. I really was until he let loose on me. And so I found out that happens to a lot of people. Yeah. You know, the spirits, if they touch them, it make you sick. You know, well, it happened to me, and so I cannot say it's not true. I can definitely, I believe it now. I knew something was going on, but I didn't know what. Well, then I done another one, and this was about 2 weeks later. I was down in the basement on the west end of the building, you know where the kitchen is, down there on the west end of the building. I was in the ladies' dining room, the one on the right. I was pointing out the paint on the walls. The paint that chips off the walls is latex. It's harmless. The underlayment, the green paint underlayment, is lead base. And there was this good-looking young lady standing right behind me from Dayton, Ohio. And I was pointing out to the paint. I said, now this is latex. That won't hurt you. Eat all that you want, but don't lick the underlayment. Don't lick the lead base. I said, that'll kill you. Okay? And so I turned back around to the wall, and she was standing right behind me, and she let out a scream right behind me. And I'm going to tell you the truth, I thought I was going to wet my paint. She scared me worse than I have ever been scared before in my life. And it was just her screaming right in my ear, is what it was. And I turned around, she jerked, she turned me around like that. I turned around and I looked at that opening between the kitchen and the doorway there, you know. Yeah. There from the waist up is Doris Haddington.
You saw Doris?
From the waist up, float right by that door. And so did this girl. So I had a witness.
Wow.
We really did see it. We really did see it. And why we only saw from the waist up, because that's all she saw too. Yeah. I have no idea why, but try to explain that.
Yeah.
You know, you see it with your own eyes. There's something there.
And someone else sees it.
And somebody else seen it, you know. And it wasn't like, no, she didn't eat some of the paint. She was getting the buzz off of it or nothing. You know.
Now, did you ever meet the real Doris?
Huh?
Did you ever meet the real Doris?
Yes.
Okay, you did.
I knew Doris.
Okay.
I used to read the newspapers and find out which church or organization she was going to work for in Winchester that evening, you know. She made a green bean casserole that was delicious. And I love green bean casserole.
Yeah, I heard it was prize winning.
And so I would always go to wherever she's cooking at night just so I could have her green bean casserole. And the more of that little onion, French onions they put on it, you know, the better it is.
The little bulbs.
And I love them.
Yeah.
I love them. I really do. And her recipe is still sitting down there on that island, down in the kitchen. And so when you're down there, take a picture of that recipe and you'll have her recipe.
Oh, that's nice. I love to cook, so.
Well, I like green bean casserole. I love green bean casserole.
I'll remember that next time I'll bring it.
Well, I'll tell you how I met her. I had went to the Quaker church, the Friends Church in Winchester, because I knew she was going to be there. I knew she was helping the Friends cook for a Sunday school class. I went. I'm not a member there, but I went anyhow because I knew she's cooking. I'm sorry, Mom. She was a great cook. Honest to God, she was. And so I love her green bean casserole. And so I went.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting out there in the hall. And she walked out of the kitchen and she'd gone up the hall, up the steps to go outside. What she was doing, she was going to go out and smoke a cigarette. She smoked. Not very many people knew she smoked. She didn't smoke in front of people. She would always go outside and everything.
That's a fun fact.
And so she would go outside and was going to smoke a cigarette. And I hollered at her. I said, Doris, have you got your green bean casserole tonight? Well, yes, I got it. Good. I did good. That's why I'm here, because I know you make good green bean casserole. And she told me the story about her sisters leaving her here when she was 11 years old.
Really?
They left her sitting out here on the front porch when she was only 11 years old, got in the car and drove off.
Why did they do that?
Because mom and dad, the three girls' mom and dad had been killed in a car wreck, and they were going to go out to the orphanage and put themselves up for adoption. Well, the two older girls, one was 19 and one was 17, decided Doris will never get adopted. Well, needless to say, why not?
Yeah.
Well, she was a baby, was born here. Somebody wasn't watching her one afternoon. She went out in the backyard, crawled through the fence and was in the horse corral out back, crawled underneath a horse and got kicked inside the head by a horse. She had a speech defect. She stuttered real bad because of getting kicked by a horse.
Okay.
And her sisters knew that nobody was going to adopt her.
Oh, that's
And so
too
they
bad.
decided they were going to bring her back here and leave her here. You know, she didn't want to come back here.
No, I bet not.
She did not
Well,
want to.
she ended up running that whole kitchen after a couple of years of being here, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. 13 years old, running that kitchen, feeding
That's
everybody
amazing.
in here. You don't see that out of
In
13
that kitchen,
years.
in that kitchen downstairs, she had decided, well, the sisters had taken her for a joyride on a Sunday afternoon in a car, a 1920s model car. Evidently one of the girls could reach the pedals. And so she was driving the car. Well, they stopped up right out front of the building, right out here. Got out of the car, walked up the sidewalk and sat on the steps, the front steps right here. They got their arms around each other's neck and they're breaking the news to Doris. They're going to leave her here. And they had no sooner said that, but then the two older girls get back in the car and drive off and leave a little 11-year-old girl sitting on the front steps out here crying. Well, you can't tell me the caretaker wasn't involved in it, because one of the older girls had to have been talking to the caretaker.
Yeah.
Because he opened the front door just as soon as they drove off, walked outside and asked Doris what was going on. Well, my sister just left me. Well, he was ready. See, you're asked if you can live here, you're asked, what can you do to help us here?
Yeah.
You're not made to work,
Right.
but you're asked if you can do anything to help, you know? Well, he asked her immediately right then, you know how it is, Doris, you've been here before. What is it that you're going to do to help us here? Well, Doris didn't even stutter. I swear she didn't. Doris says, I am 11 years old and I know how to cook. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, it's a wonder to me she didn't get backhanded. Because I've talked to my mom and dad like that when I was that young, and I'd have worn it. I know I'd have been knocked upside the head. I'm surprised she wasn't, but she wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least she knew what she wanted.
Yeah. He said, now Doris, he said, you can cook. He said, you go downstairs in the kitchen and get with Mary, who was a volunteer first cook at the time. He said, you go down there and work with Mary for 2 years. You learn the ropes, and it's all yours. She went down and got in the kitchen and worked with Mary that first day from then on. All right? Now, the bad thing of it is, Mary didn't last 2 years. She got sick and died.
Oh.
So before Doris is even 13 years old, she's cooking for an average of 45 people 3 times a day.
At 11.
13.
13. Okay. So
You find me a 13-year-old. You find me a 13-year-old that can do that today.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool.
Well, she was an excellent cook.
Yeah.
And people around Winchester found out she was a good cook. And so your Kiwanis, your Rotary, Lions Club, Eagles, all that, churches would all ask her to come in. If they're going to cook a meal for their membership, you know, they would always ask her to come in and help them cook and offer to pay her. She never took a dime.
Wow.
Never took a dime. And asked her if she would rather stay with them in their houses rather than out here. Nope, her excuse was, I got to get back out there. Somebody might have missed supper tonight and they'll be hungry and I got to get them something to eat.
No.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
She really is.
And then they used to pay her in dolls. Give
They
her
didn't
dolls
pay-
for helping.
They paid her dolls.
Yeah.
Well, that's the rest of the story. The Lions Club president got a hold of her one evening, had her come in. And now, Doris, we've always offered to pay you, but you've never taken anything. Isn't there something that you would love to have that we can get for you so we can feel better about asking you? Well, they found out that she loved dolls. Dolls. So he bought her a doll, gave it to her. She helped him cook at night and brought the doll back out here. And he went around to the other organizations in town telling everybody that she loved dolls. You can buy her a doll if you want to reward her for helping you, you know. And so she started collecting dolls. At one time, she had 26 dolls. And they were in every room that she stayed in out here, including the room that she passed away in 2006. She died in 2006. The dolls were in the room with her. All right, now what I have found out, and I'm not on your case by any means, so don't think I am. I found out in the 5 years that I've been telling this story, most men are terrified of dolls. That's the truth. I am. I'm scared to death of damn things. I know for a fact. I know they're going to start talking to me or wink at me or smile or something's going to happen. And if that happens, I'm out of here. I'm gone. You know, I said, that ain't going to happen. Not to me.
Yeah.
I don't like them. I never hid that I'm afraid of them. And I am afraid of them. Well, I found out most guys are. Most men are. And of course, I would go around to different rooms, you know, showing people around like I've done before, you know. A lot of men won't even go into her room that she passed in because there's all kinds of dolls in that room and they're afraid of them. And so I decided I'm going to make something humorous. And so you can see the conduit coming down on the walls. Here's the different light switches and everything. There's a conduit that comes down to a plug-in the room that she died in. All right, I took 3 Barbie dolls and wrapped Barbie dolls around that conduit, like pole dancers.
Yeah.
Okay, and I stuffed the dollars. Yes, I was in the Army for 14 years. Yes, I knew how to stuff the bucks. I've had lots of practice at that. And so I stuffed the dollars on them. Guys walk in, there ain't a man in the world that know what a pole dancer is.
Yeah.
So they're not afraid of the dolls anymore, and it's funny.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That's so funny because I pointed those out last time we went. I was like, that is hilarious.
That's exactly why they're still there.
That's why I brought a dollar.
That's exactly why they're still there. They've made $138 this year. And I'm not taking them down. That's the end of the year beer money right there is what that is. And I'm not taking them down.
All because of the Barbie strippers.
Now, I'll tell you a story funny about this. I was in there about this time last year. It was last spring. Okay. I had a spirit box with me. Just a little M7, a cheapie. I had it with me. One of the Barbies just fell off the pole. turned the spirit box on, reached down, picked Barbie up. I wrapped her back around the pole and was restuffing the dollars. My spirit box said, "Ted." "Yes, ma'am." "What can I do for you?" I knew it was Doris. It was her voice because I've talked to her. You know, I knew who it was. I said, "What can I do for you, Doris?" She said, "That's nasty."
I was just gonna ask.
She's a church
Church lady.
Okay. She said, "That's nasty." And I said, "Well, Doris, I can't even get some people to come in your room because they're scared of your dolls." "Well, whatever you have to do, but that's still nasty." So I got my butt chewed out by a spirit. And if you think that ain't creepy, that's creepy. That will get you. It really will. Just click, click, click. Shut this thing off. I've heard enough. But that was nasty.
Oh my god.
Right.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah, we wanted to get see if you had any experience in here because we know about the Johns and the Idas, but I wanted to make sure I interviewed you to get your stories of what happened in here that you think strange. And
well, what I think, because I saw half of Doris go across that door down there, I definitely believe in spirits.
Yeah, that'll make you a believer, won't it?
Yeah, I saw it. You know, what am I going to say? I didn't see that. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Someone else saw it too, so
The
that's even
paranormal
more.
world is real. It is.
Yeah.
So we good?
Yeah, I think so.
We okay?
Thank you so much.
No problem at all.
I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
Ted,
Yeah.
thank you. And Ted Martin from Randolph County, guys, and 7 great interviews and great stories. I wanted to get your side of what you thought
Thank
of
you
this
so
place.
much. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching From Beyond the Grave Ghost Hunt.